Hello, and welcome to another episode of Adamo Baseball, where I'm your host, Adamo. So, this is a late episode, I admit that. I was supposed to put this out yesterday, and frankly, this is actually part 2, but I'm releasing this first because I want to get it out there. Yesterday I recorded an episode that I'm still working on. There is so much I'm trying to get. So in this episode, I'm not going to do it, but in the other episode that I recorded, I'm trying to get graphics. So a friend of mine helped walk me through how to do graphics and whatnot. That way I can make the episodes more visually or aesthetically, to use smart people words, pleasing. This one, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to put part 2 out there. And I'm going to just say this one the way I want to. The other one, I'm going to do some editing. Mostly just weeding out all the stupid, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to work on that. And plus, I'm going to be doing some graphics. What I'm doing is what's called April's All-Stars. The other episode is every single team's best players up to this point. Every single team has at least one player that deserves to go to the All-Star game. Not just because even though there's no official rule that says it, every team is represented at the All-Star game, if for no other reason than just out of respect for the whole league, because you don't make it to the bigs if you're not a professional baseball player. Some people may contrast that, but that doesn't change the fact that you made it there for a reason. Well, this year, every single team has at least one guy that belongs on the All-Star game, or in the All-Star game at this point. So I'm recording this on May 1st. I'm releasing this on May 1st. The other one I recorded yesterday before the games were played. And the games that were played yesterday, even though they hadn't happened yet then, but they have happened now, they haven't changed my mind on who is the best player, or who have been the best players in April. In fact, one of them actually confirmed it. So, here are my rules. On this list, one side's the American League, the other side's the National League. I know you can't see it because of the lighting. Every single team is represented. For each position, I've got 2 players, and then I've got 12 pitchers. For the National League, I want to make this clear now. You can put the entire Mets rotation on there, you can put the entire Dodgers rotation on there, and you can put several other teams' almost entire rotations. The Brewers. I didn't do that. So for most of those teams, I only picked one guy, and I'm going to default one reliever for the league, because in each league there's been one guy, both sides, that belong in, or that have played like an all-star throughout the first part of the season. So I had to make some room. Some positions were obviously better than others. I want to make that very clear. Some positions were better. There's one position in particular that was kind of weak. So I'm going to start with the American League. I'm not doing this by team. I'm doing this one, or I'm not doing this by team. I'm doing this by league, and I'm starting with position. In the American League, they have the designated hitter. I included that. For the National League, they don't have that, so obviously I didn't. Now I've gotten all that explanation out of the way. Let's go ahead and get started. Oh yeah, I really did have to change that. And there really isn't a good backup there. So, starting off, designated hitter. First one, or I've actually got 3 here, because I found out that Yerman Mercedes, he's officially listed as a catcher. He's had 1 at bat as a catcher this year, which is the exact same number of at bats as he's had as a pitcher this year. No, I'm not making that up. He's had 2 at-bats playing first base and he's had 74 as of last time I checked, which was the afternoon of April 30th. I don't know what position he played for the White Sox yesterday, if he did at all. If they may have given him a day off, I don't know. He's not hurt. But yeah, he's been the best hitter in baseball. Not just the American League, not just for rookies, because yes, he is a rookie. He's been the best hitter in the league in baseball, period. So yeah, he's the first guy for designated hitters. Number 2, JD Martinez. He is led in most every statistical category offensively. He's either been leading or he's been neck and neck. Home runs, extra base hits, on base percentage, on base plus slugging. Dude's been a beast. The other one is Nelson Cruz, who, like a fine wine, gets better with age. He really does. Next position, because I found out after I made this list that Yerman Mercedes is not a catcher, I've only got one catcher, Salvador Perez. Actually, I do have a second one, Christian Vasquez. So Salvador Perez has been the best catcher. He really isn't playing at all-star level, but he has been the offensive player for the Royals. He's done everything he should be doing behind the plate, and he is hitting well enough to justify putting him there, and he has been the best catcher in the American League. I'm putting Christian Vasquez as the second catcher because he got off to one of the finest Aprils. Like, he actually started out like hot out the gate. I know a lot of those at-bats were as a designated hitter, but he actually has played a really good, he actually has hit very well. He kind of came back to earth the last couple of weeks of April. That's why he's not starting on this little roster that I got right here. First base, this should come as a surprise to no one, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. If it's not JD Martinez or Nelson Cruz leading offensive categories, most of the time it's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He has actually started to become that player that we've all hoped he would become. And yes, he has been that good. He's been the Blue Jays' entire offense. He's played a great first base, and he is everything you want him to be. The other first baseman, I have to admit, I was kind of surprised by Yuli Guriel for the Houston Astros. So I think I've seen at least part of, not all the way through, part of about 3 Astros games. It's not because I do or don't like the Astros or have a grudge or anything like that. They're usually on really late, and I just don't have time to watch them a lot of the time. So I just haven't had a chance to watch them. When I was looking through the first baseman in the league, Yuli Guriel actually has had a really good year. And as far as the Astros are concerned, they're playing 500 ball, but they've been really streaky. Guriel is one of the guys that's kept him in it most of the year, so I gotta give him props. This position was probably the hardest one to find. Second base. For the American League, it's pretty weak, actually. So Nick Solac of the Texas Rangers, as far as offense and non-pitching is concerned, which that's a pretty limited field on their team too, Nick Zolek has been far and away their best player. It's not even close. He's the only one batting over 300. In fact, I think he's the only one batting over 270. I think he's got 3 or 4 home runs and not that many RBIs because there's just no one to knock in besides himself. But yeah, he's been the best second baseman in baseball up to this point. And the second best second baseman, because I originally had him listed at the wrong position, Ty France. I originally had Ty France listed as a third baseman. So yeah, Nick Solak and Ty France have been the two best second basemen in the American League. Nick Solak, it's not even close competition. He's been the best one. Shortstop. So I was looking at this exact same type of list on the Major League Baseball app. I agreed with them in a lot of things. There were a few places I did disagree, but they also only had one player for each position. And they also only had three starting pitchers. And I think they had one reliever. I made a more elaborate list for mine. So, but this one I agreed with them. Or they agreed with me. Even if they didn't know that they agreed with me, they agreed with me. Shortstop, Xander Bogarts. It was the same person for both of us. Even though Xander didn't start hitting home runs until this past week, he was hitting regularly. He was getting extra base hits, and he is one of the reasons that the Red Sox are still leading the American League East. Without him, they don't. Simple as that. They just don't. And the other shortstop, Tim Anderson. He hasn't made the waves that you would necessarily expect him to up to this point. Mostly because Mercedes has been stealing the headlines, which is fine, okay? I love seeing this Rookie of the Year just come out of nowhere, and yes, Mercedes is going to win Rookie of the Month for April. No question about that at all. But Tim Anderson has been playing up to his standard. And he's been doing a great job as a leadoff guy, playing a great shortstop. Just most people just haven't really noticed. So, yeah. Third base. This is another one of those positions that's a little shaky. This is the one position I only have one guy. Rafael Devers. It's not because I'm a Red Sox fan. He's really the only third baseman in the American League that's just eye-popping. The two guys I had listed originally, so I mentioned I had Ty France. Well, I found out I had Ty France listed at the wrong position. So, I'm man enough to admit to my mistakes. Or, I should say, I am an adult, and I will admit when I'm wrong about something. The other one I have, Gio Urshela. That's because of a lack of options, not because Urshela has actually been playing like an all-star. The Yankees really, they've had two pitchers throw like all-stars, and that's it. Their offense is garbage this year. But there really isn't anyone else in the league that's just jumping out, that oozes all-star this year, you know? So, yeah. Left field, so I'm just going to combine the outfield because it doesn't really matter which outfielder you are. The way they do the voting, you vote for like your top 15 outfielders. Doesn't matter which position they play. And you kind of just pick through them. This one is by far my most mixed bag of different players across the board. So I'm actually going to pick 5 all outfielders, because I think that's how many actually get selected to the All-Star game. So I'm going to go with 5, and a couple of them have gone under the radar. So first one you probably aren't aware of, Cedric Mullins, center fielder for the Baltimore Orioles. I'm not just saying that because I like the Orioles. Cedric Mullins has played like an all-star. And if it wasn't John Means, Cedric Mullins would be a shoo-in. For the month of April, he batted 342, I think was his final total. When I was doing the checking, he was batting 345 at the time. He's got a couple of home runs. He has been the primary offense for the Orioles this year. Most of the rest of the team, while yes, hitting is down across the league, look it up, Cedric Mullins has really been picking up the slack for the rest of the Orioles that really haven't been hitting. Player number 2, the best Astro, period, this year, Michael Brantley. He's the one player that before I started doing my research, I was aware had been playing very well for the Astros, outside of pitching. He's the one position player that I was fully aware had been doing very well. Altuve's not playing up to that standard that he normally does. Carlos Correa, I can't put him in there. But Michael Brantley has been the guy. I'm going to skip that one real quick. Here's another one that's really gone under the radar that I don't like no one is giving all-star love to, Mitch Haniger. So he has been playing very well for the Seattle Mariners. He's just, the numbers don't necessarily show it for him, but he actually has been playing extremely well for the Seattle Mariners this year. And if you know anything about the Mariners, you know that there's got to be a reason why they're still like right in the mix for the American League West. Well, Mitch Haniger is that reason. Ty France has been doing the best offensively. Mitch Haniger has been the best all-around player for Seattle. The last two, you can probably guess just because of how much attention they've been getting. Byron Buxton of the Minnesota Twins has been playing out of his mind. In fact, for the Minnesota Twins, right now, he's their one offensive bright spot because they're trying to get out of the cellar of the AL Central. Technically, they're out of it, but he's the reason that they're able to stay out as long as they have been. And then the other one, go figure, the best player in baseball, Mike Trout. Okay, look, I love watching him play. I do. I am a fan, but I don't think I need to go into detail why Mike Trout deserves it, okay? He's Mike Trout, and he's doing everything that you would expect Mike Trout to do. He's one of 3 good things to come out of New Jersey. There's Mike Trout, Bruce Springsteen, and Kevin Smith. I'm just going to leave that there. So for pitching, okay, the guys I picked, this isn't necessarily as true for the American League as it is for the National League, but it still does play a part. I had every team represented. So I'm going to go back through real quick and just label all the teams that I have labeled, or listed. So Mercedes of the White Sox, JD Martinez of the Red Sox, Nelson Cruz of the Twins, Salvador Perez of the Kansas City Royals, Nick Solac of the Texas Rangers, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. of the Toronto Blue Jays, Ty France of the Seattle Mariners, Xander Bogarts of the Red Sox, Tim Anderson of the White Sox, Cedric Mullins of the Orioles, Michael Brantley of the Astros, Yuli Guriel of the Astros, Mike Trout of the Angels, Byron Buxton of the Twins, and Mitch Haniger of the Mariners. That's not every team. Though that is a very good representation of baseball, that's not every team. Not all of them are listed. When I was talking about Urshela earlier, I'm not including him in this. I'm not. Oh, and Devers of the Red Sox. So, here we go. Pitching. First, John Means. So when I recorded the episode yesterday, I did not have his start last night mentioned. He's the one that it actually confirmed it because he got his 3rd win of the season. He allowed 2 runs over 7 innings, which is pretty good. His ERA went up. It went from 1.5 to 1.7. You give up 2 runs over 7 innings and your ERA goes up, it means you're doing something right. Danny Duffy, Kansas City Royals. He has been pitching like an all-star. He's been the reason, pitching-wise, that the Royals are where they are. So they don't currently have the best record in the American League, though for at least, I want to say 4 days, they did have the best record in the American League. Danny Duffy's one of the 2 primary reasons, if not the reason, that they got to that point. Here's my Yankee, Garrett Cole. He's doing what they're paying him to do. Seriously, he is. He's actually pitching like the ace that they're trying to get from him, and frankly, he's the only person in that rotation who's pitching up to standard. Cleveland Indians, Shane Bieber. Have I mentioned a Cleveland Indian yet? Nope. It's because he's the one. Actually, there's a couple of them, but he's one of the 2 pitchers I have on this list for the Indians. On that note, Savale. I don't remember his first name, but he's the other Cleveland Indians starting pitcher that... So the Indians have actually been a very average team. Those 2 pitchers are why. I can't think of a single position player that has been up to standard for the, or up to all-star game standard. Those 2 guys really are it. Matthew Boyd, Detroit Tigers. He has been their ace. He has pitched like an ace. I wanted to include Casey Mize, but since his hot out of the gate start, he's dipped off a bit. That game he pitched against Oakland when they were, when the A's were doing their 13-game winning streak, he got wrecked, and he really hasn't bounced back yet. So I can't include him. But Matthew Boyd, he's been pitching like an all-star. He's been pitching like an ace, and he is one of the reasons that the Tigers have a bright-looking future. Look, this is not the year, but I think they're a year away from a year away. Matthew Boyd is one of the players that's got them going in the right direction. So 2023, the Tigers should be competing then, and Matthew Boyd is going to be one of those reasons. I think Casey Mize will too, but Casey Mize isn't there yet. Here we go. Kyle Gibson, Texas Rangers. So I'll mention that Nick Solac was the offensive reason, or sorry, their best offensive player. Well, Kyle Gibson is their best pitcher, and he's been pitching like an ace. I think I can leave that right there. Like, if I didn't know about Nick Solac, Kyle Gibson would be their one representative. In fact, that was the last-minute addition, Nick Solac. So, yeah, I always had Kyle Gibson on here, and I have not changed my mind. Houston Astros, Zach Greinke. His curveball may not be fast, but he will strike you out with it. One of the Astros games that I did watch, it was Zach Greinke, and he looked every bit the part that he used to look, and he has been that guy. Absolutely, he has been that guy. Next one, Steven Matz, Toronto Blue Jays. He's gone very under the radar this year. A lot of people don't realize this, but he's actually been pitching pretty well for the Blue Jays. He and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. are the 2 reasons that the Jays are still in it right now, because they're only playing around 500 ball. They're not out of it, but they're playing. they're only playing average ball. Well, Mats is one of the reasons why that they've been doing as well as they have. The other one is Hinjin Ryu, who's surprisingly under the radar. Like, people haven't really noticed that he's been doing really well. So, yeah, you might want to put your eye back on him. Pitcher number 11. I noticed this guy, but I noticed a lot of other people haven't. Flexen. When I watched a couple of the Mariners games this year, he was pitching. He pitched pretty well. He's kept the Astros in check when the Astros are trying to put together a string of wins, and he beat the Red Sox. When the Red Sox were trying to put together their winning streak again, he put them down. He was actually pretty impressive. Now for the other one, Tampa Bay Rays, Tyler Glasnow. As of right now, he's the American League Cy Young Award winner. He's the Cy Young pitcher for April. I don't know if he's going to pitch like that the whole season, but his ERA is like 0.5 or something. Like, he's actually been pitching like the best pitcher in the American League. In fact, he should start the All-Star game if he continues to pitch the way he is throughout May and June. I don't expect him to keep his ERA down at 0.5. But if he keeps pitching like that, then yeah, he absolutely deserves it. He's also the one representative from the Tampa Bay Rays. And it ain't close. So, for the podcast, I'm going to take a break real quick. And then I'm going to get on to the National League. And now, on to the National League. So, I started with the designated hitter for the American League. I'm starting with first base for the National League because that's just how I have it written down. So, the app I was looking at, they actually had these switched for me, but I'm sticking with my guns on this one. First base, Philadelphia Phillies, Rhys Hoskins. He's been one of the best offensive players in the National League, even baseball for that matter, and he has played a great first base, so I have to give that one to Rhys Hoskins. Like, if they're like for a starting position, it would be Rhys Hoskins. And then the other one, San Diego Padres, Eric Hosmer. So when Fernando Tatis Jr. was on the 10-day IL, Eric Hosmer picked up the slack. He was a lot of the offense for the Padres. He's the one that kept them above float. And that's why the Padres are still in it right now, because when Tatis went down, you could tell that a lot of their offense was out. And he picked up the slack. He's finally starting to turn into that player that we've been wanting him to be. And his rookie year, he was my favorite player. Like, I saw him play that year, and he was the one player I wanted to see in Kansas City, and he hit a home run on his first pitch in that game. So, yeah, I've always liked watching Eric Hosmer play, but he's finally turning into that player that we all think he should be, and yeah, he's having a great year. Second base. Okay, so one of these is very obvious, especially with how I talk about him a lot, and the other one, not so much, though he should be. Starting, Jazz Chisholm of the Miami Marlins. He is everything that you expect him to be, and he is definitely dancing the jig to the name Jazz. I genuinely enjoy watching him play, and I go very in-depth about that in the other episodes. So I'm going to leave that one there. He also happens to be the only Miami Marlin. Not because he's the only Miami Marlin that should be represented, but because he's legit played like an all-star. And yes, I know the second base field for both leagues is pretty weak. He is very strong regardless of that fact. Okay? He really is. The other one It's actually an interesting pick. Adam Frazier of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He actually has played very well for the Pittsburgh Pirates at second base. He really has. I have watched the Pirates a little bit this year, though I wasn't necessarily watching for them. I was kind of just curious. Adam Frazier has been playing very well, and don't be surprised if he ends up being a trade chip later in the year. I don't know that he's still going to be on the team come the All-Star break, because some teams may be looking for a second baseman to make a World Series run, and Adam Frazier would be a great addition for a lot of teams. So bear that in mind. Third base. This one's pretty easy. I have Justin Turner as the starter of the LA Dodgers, and then Chris Bryant of the Cubs as the second one. Honestly, it doesn't matter which one you put starting. You're just splitting hairs. It's Justin Turner's best season of his career, so I've got him there because I feel like he should be. And then Chris Bryant is finally back to playing to his 2016 level. He's either been hurt or not swinging the bat as well since then. Well, now he's swinging the bat the way you expect him to. So really, he's the only reason why the Cubs are winning at all. The only reason. Because frankly, I want to have another Chicago Cub on here. Now moving on to shortstop. Even though he was out being hurt, Fernando Tatis Jr. has still been playing like the best shortstop in baseball. Not in the American League, in baseball. Sorry, in the National League. Because, yeah, I mean, on the American League side, I had Xander, Bogarts, and Tim Anderson, who are playing pretty well. Tatis has been better. Like, he's better than Dad. He had 2 home runs on the 22nd anniversary of his dad hitting 2 grand slams in the same inning in the same stadium. So, yeah, and both of them did it off of really good pitchers. Park, I actually looked it up. The pitcher, Park, for the LA Dodgers at the time, he was a good pitcher. He was, like, he had good and bad years, but he was a pretty good pitcher while Tatis was a Cardinal. And Fernando Tatis Jr. did it off of, or had 2 home runs in the same game. I think they were both off of Kershaw. The other shortstop, crap, I forgot who I was going to put, but I'm going to come back to this one. This one's gonna bother me if I don't remember the person I was planning on doing. Oh, right, that's who it was. Trey Turner. He has been the one offensive weapon for the Nationals since Juan Soto has been hurt. He became eligible to come back from the IL today, but he missed almost the last half of April, and he wasn't necessarily playing like an all-star yet. And frankly, he really has been the best offensive player for the Nationals up to this point. Trey Turner has been the best player for the Nationals up to this point. So I just gotta give it to Trey Turner. Catcher. I don't know why everyone's forgetting about JT Real Muto, but JT Real Muto has been one of the best hitting catchers in baseball, and frankly, I got him first, and I got Buster Posey second. That's not close. Yadier Molina is making a good case, but I don't have him as one of the top 2. Buster Posey is one of the reasons why the Giants are one of the best teams in the National League. I know I'm not the only one surprised by that fact, but they have been, and Buster Posey knows how to handle a rotation, never mind hitting the ball. And then Real Muto is one of the reasons why the Phillies are on top of the National League East right now. Yeah. The National League East is kind of a joke this year in spite of how good they are on paper. But Real Muto's been playing like an all-star, and he should. So I did this with the American League. I'm going to do this with the National League too. 5 guys for the outfield. Nick Castellanos of the Cincinnati Reds. He's my one red. There's really no one else for the Cincinnati Reds that I can really put down. But yeah, Nick Castellanos has been playing like an all-star, even with that 2-game suspension for flexing on Yadier Molina. And here's your Colorado Rocky, Raimel Tapia, or Rizal Tapia. You probably don't know who he is, but he has been like the best Colorado Rocky thus far. I know Trevor Story's trying to get his stock up so they can get traded. Charlie Blackmon has not been playing like a great player this year. Tapia has been. He's been a great leadoff guy for the Rockies, and he's one of the reasons that they're still in it. Or, well, they're not really in it, but he's the one reason why that they're getting any real respect right now from anybody. But yeah, Tapia has been a great player for the Colorado Rockies, and I have to put him on there. Though if there was a team that I had to have someone represent them, this is probably about the closest I'd get. But I do think Tapia actually is playing like a great player. New York Mets center fielder Brandon Nimmo. He's been pretty much their offense. Yeah, I think I can leave that there because he's been their offense. Even hurt Ronald Acuna Jr. Seriously, even hurt, he's still their only offensive weapon. He's trying to do it all. They got one pitcher that can be considered like really good right now, but Acuna is far and away their best player, and there's not a close second. There really isn't. Freddy Freeman is taking way too long to catch fire. Travis d'Arnaud actually started hitting worse as the month went on, and he was the one guy that was hitting 250, not named Acuna. So yeah, Acuna is the Brave. And then, last but not least, drum roll, Bryce Harper. He's finally starting to play and hit like that $330 million player that the Phillies signed him to be. It's only his second year into his contract, but he's doing things that he should be doing for that contract. So, yeah, Bryce Harper actually does deserve it this year. And that's it for the position players. Now, again, before I get into the pitching, I ensured that I had every team represented. A couple of teams, I have to have a pitcher because their offense really isn't doing it. There is a player for the Diamondbacks, apart from the pitcher that I have listed, who you legitimately could put as a position player, and that's Carson Kelly. I want to address that now. Carson Kelly has been playing well, but he's not been playing as well as Real Muto or Buster Posey or Yadier Molina. That's why I don't have him at the top. I did disagree with the app on that one. If I hadn't disagreed and I put Carson Kelly at the top, he'd be the one representative for the Diamondbacks. But as it stands, because I have a pitcher for them, I don't have Carson Kelly on there. If you disagree with me, that's fine. I made it very clear. I'm okay with you disagreeing with me. And like I said, you can put pretty much the entire Dodgers rotation in here. You can put the entire Mets rotation in here. I only put 1 to 2 guys for each team because I didn't want it to just be top heavy. I didn't want it to just be one team. You can put almost the entire Giants rotation in there. Yeah, the Giants rotation actually has been what's carrying them outside of Buster Posey to one of the best records in the National League. Again, I only put 1 to 2 guys for each team if I did. So, with that in mind, hear me out. Starting, Jacob deGrom. He's got the best ERA. He's set a record or at least a franchise record for most strikeouts in the month of April for a New York Met. He actually broke Tom Seaver's record. May he rest in peace. That's not sarcastic. I actually mean that about Tom Seaver. But Jacob deGrom has been the best pitcher the Mets have, and he's been the best pitcher possibly in baseball. It's between him and Tyler Glasnow, and I think it's Jacob deGrom. His record's 2-2. His ERA is like .32. He's given up 2 runs the whole season. He lost both games where he gave up 1 run. He took the L, not a no decision, the loss. It's not his fault. Next one, Max Scherzer. It's not because of needing a nap. I did put Trey Turner on the list. But Max Scherzer actually has been pitching great. He had a bad opening day. He still took the win that day, but he had a bad opening day. But since then, he's been lights out. My 2 Milwaukee Brewers pitchers. I got 2 of them. I have no position players for the Brewers. They're on top of the NL Central, but I got 2 pitchers for them, and it happens to be why the Brewers are doing as well as they are. Corbin Burns, who still has not issued a walk. I think he's got like 49 strikeouts or something like that. He's set a record for most strikeouts to start a season without issuing a walk. And then Brandon Woodruff, who's also been pitching under the radar good for the Brewers. Next one, John Gant of the St. Louis Cardinals. He is my 1 St. Louis Cardinals representative, but he's also been pitching like an all-star. Just want to make that clear. He has been pitching that well. I'm actually going to remove him. All right, so next one, the Arizona Diamondbacks representative, Zach Gallen. He has been pitching like an ace. He has been that guy for the Diamondbacks. I didn't have room to put Carson Kelly on there. If I had the room, I would have Carson Kelly. But Zach Gallen actually has been pitching up to standard to be on this list. San Diego Padres, Joe Musgrove. I actually had to leave Yu Darvish off this list because the field is just too packed. But Joe Musgrove, it's not just because he threw a no-hitter. He actually has been pitching that well the whole season. He had 1 bad game that was mediocre. It wasn't bad. But he admitted after the game it was because he was just exhausted from that that complete game shutout no-hitter where he allowed one base runner because he hit the guy in the fourth. San Francisco Giants, Desclafani. Anthony Desclafani. One day I'm actually going to be able to pronounce his name correctly. One day. And the other Giant, Kevin Gausman. Okay, I will admit I'm surprised by him, but he actually has been pitching extremely well for the Giants, and it looks like he's finally found the right uniform or cleats or something, because he has been pitching like an all-star this year. He wasn't great in Atlanta. He wasn't very good in Baltimore. But in San Francisco, he has been everything that you want him to be. The other New York Met, Marco Stroman. He's been doing Marco Stroman things. All right, so I crossed a name off here. So I am adding a second LA Dodger pitcher. So Walker Buehler and Clayton Kershaw. I'm not telling you which one I added. Okay? They've both been pitching like all-stars. They both deserve to be there. I know there's a bunch of guys that I very easily could have put on this list. Could have put Trevor Bauer on there. I could have put Ian Anderson of the Braves on here. I just didn't have the room. That's it for the 12 pitchers. Now, I forgot to do this for the American League, but I'm going to do this for the American League and the National League right now. One relief pitcher for both leagues. Just one. For the National League, Richard Rodriguez of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He has been the legit best player for the Pirates up to this point. There's no denying that. He has been their best player. And then for the American League, I'm giving it to Matt Barnes. Not because he's a Red Sox, but because he had one bad game. Other than that, he's been lights out for the Red Sox. He didn't allow a base runner in his first 7 starts. Or his first 7 ninth innings. First 7 appearances. So, yeah. That is my league level April's All-Stars. I know this ran a little long, but I'm running with it anyway. Now, if you want to let me know how wrong I am, go ahead and let me know down in the comments below. Or, if you're listening on my podcast, come over to my YouTube channel. Let me know down in the comments below just how wrong I truly am. Or, if you happen to agree, let me know how right I am. That's always nice. And then, you can also let me know on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter, AdamOBaseball, at AdamOBaseball1. With that being said, thank you for listening. Cheers until next time.